Welcome to This Song Is Yours, the podcast where we dive deep into the art of songwriting, chat with some of the most exciting artists in the world, and explore the stories behind their songs. I'm your host, Simon Fink, and as always, thank you very much for joining us. Our guests this week on the podcast are Pash. The Adelaide indie pop four-piece are one of the most exciting young bands in the country right now. Four guys who wear their sonic influences proudly, channeling this spirit of INXS and the 1975, while building something that feels distinctly and unapologetically their own. Their Adelaide heritage runs through everything they do, their sound, the songwriting and their visuals. It is all baked in, and it's all a big part of what makes them so compelling. Last year they signed a worldwide record deal, and with their brilliant self-titled sophomore EP out now, Jett, Orlando, Nic and Dan look every bit like Australia's next big export. Today, we are sitting down with the whole gang to talk about their sophomore EP and the expectations they set for themselves with each new release, the pressure to grow, to reach bigger audiences, and to keep pushing the music forward. We get into the origins of the band and the development of that unabashed Australiana pop rock sound that they've made their own. And we also have a great chat about the Adelaide music scene and why the latest class of artists coming out of the state seem to be absolutely kicking goals right now. And we want to say a massive thank you to Ree for her help with today's episode and remind everyone that Pash's brand new sophomore EP, also titled Pash, is out right now. You'll find links in the show notes on where you can stream their music and follow them across all of their social media channels. While you are in the show notes, please make sure you subscribe to This Song Is Yours and come and follow us on Instagram and TikTok. It really does help us out and it keeps you across new episodes, guests, and everything else that we have coming up. Our playlist feature is also on our website, thissongisyours.com. So make sure that you've got that saved in your browser. You'll find playlists, you'll find all our episodes, and maybe you'll even find some merch. Who knows? Let's get into it. Here is our conversation with Pash. Please welcome to This Song Is Yours, Jett, Orlando, Nic and Daniel, maybe otherwise known collectively as Pash. Gentlemen, hello. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Doing very well, thank you. Thank you very much for coming on and giving us some of your time on the podcast. I'm very excited to have you on, purely because I feel like, and it might be a bit of a weird thing to say, I feel like there's a bit of Pash fever going on at the moment, and I'm not sure if that's a thing that's kind of allowed to be said in terms of the band, or, you know, maybe we'll come up with another bit of Pash rash, whatever it may be, in terms of working out what you call your fans and followers. But there's a lot of excitement around this new EP that you've just put out. Congratulations on Pash, the self-titled sophomore EP. How are you guys feeling?
Good. It's been very exciting, and, you know, a long road for us, maybe not publicly, but like writing and recording it. So it's like such a blessing to have it out in the world. And yeah, hopefully maybe we'll call it the Pash rash. Hopefully it keeps infecting people. I think we have to come up with something new though.
I don't like rashes.
Yeah, we're going to come up with something a bit better. But
and that was the most cool introduction ever. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, no, of course. Look, hopefully, Pash rash, I think, maybe has different connotations. We'll find something that has still infectious, but maybe more positive spin on it.
Yes.
This is your second EP. It is an incredible collection of songs, guys. You've done really, really well on this. And I think that, as you just kind of mentioned, I think sometimes people forget the work that really goes into putting together an EP, an album. It's not just throwing like a bunch of songs together. From these 6 tracks, you're going lyrically and sonically like quite across the board. They're covering a bit of ground, from Tracy to Solid Ground itself to East End Girls. Setting out for the second EP, was there a through line that you guys wanted to connect throughout the songs, or was it finding songs that just simply complemented each other well as a body of work?
Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, this EP was sort of the product of us first coming into, I don't want to say taking it seriously, because we were taking it seriously before, but getting a shot. We got a shot at the start of 2025, and that meant going out and writing with all these awesome producers and writers, like in Sydney and Melbourne and stuff, and Brisbane. And so it's just the sound of us like coming into that and having fun and coming to it with all our unique individual tastes and sort of the thing that came out. It sounds pretty like varied, but I think it's just because it's us having fun and figuring it out. And I think that's like the theme that's going on, really.
Yeah, it was like, I think it's representative kind of like the process that we went through. I mean, like we wrote like, I think 60 songs that got whittled down to 6 of our favorites. And it was like a giant process of just like finding what we wanted to sound like and, you know, the different pockets of inspiration we have and like taste and all these sort of things. And it comes together in a project that, yeah, fits together, but I guess shows all those like quirks.
100%. This EP does an incredible job. I know that you've almost kind of self-referenced previously in press and in other spaces that the band is like a mix of the 1975 and INXS. I think in this EP as well, and look, I also apologize if these references are a little bit dated or if I'm aging myself here. But I feel like there was some Ice House, there was some Diesel as well, if for any Diesel fans.
Wow. I love a Nice House.
For you guys, is there that clear sonic influences that you guys not necessarily pick from, but are there things that you are listening to when you're in the studio being like, oh, I really want the snare to sound like this, or I want the synth or guitar to sound like this, or is it just kind of making what's going to make it sound the most dynamic?
Oh, that's a good question.
A lot of INXS as well.
I think like
a lot of drum sounds as well, especially.
Yeah, I think like it came down to like the songs because they're so different. Like we had like Another Day where we kind of wanted it to be almost more Jeff Buckley kind of a sound, and then you got a song on the other end of the spectrum which is like Down the Aisle, which is almost like Cyndi Lauper type, you know, 80s, you know, sugary pop. So as far as like you know references we actually had, INXS was a big one.
We're never thinking too deeply when we're in the writing room about any sort of reference or any sort of comparison. You know, it's just
that moment when you go, oh, that's the one. That's it.
I think subconsciously we have a lot of those present, but I mean, yeah, we try to make it something our own and feels, you know, trying to keep that. But yeah, I think, and Silverchair, we're in a space that Silverchair I spent some time in, and I'm a big fan of the band, and I think that's sort of influenced us a little bit. We had some listening parties with Scott Horscroft listening to the old Silverchair record that he was a part of, and that was super special time as well.
I imagine that must be really special for a multitude of reasons. I know that there was a little sense of virality with yourselves covering a Silverchair tune that kind of led to bigger opportunities for the band. Is it interesting to see certain people within the industry? I know you just mentioned incredible producer Scott Horscroft. I know that you've got big fans in Bridget Huthwaite. The lovely Nick Kelly from Hot Hits seems to be the biggest Pash cheerleader at the moment, and shout outs to Nick.
God.
Is it nice to see, and with no disrespect to the fans, because obviously they play a massive part as well, but is it nice to see from your perspective also industry people and like tastemakers really embracing the sound and the songs that you guys are putting out?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. It was like so surprising to us. And I think a big thing was like how early it was. Like for us, like, you know, this last 18 months has been really like when it's being public and we're pushing it and the new songs and stuff to see it like so rapidly, I guess, respected and like loved by people that we look up to and we have known about and all that kind of thing. It was like, yeah, that was, you know, usually sometimes that happens on your second EP or your first album or like sometime later. So for us to have that sort of like behind us was really special.
Back, you know?
Yeah, and it was like
so nice to have them bring our back.
And like as artists also, like, you know, even going back to like the very start of Pash, we're always about doing something that's a bit different and unique. And obviously, you know, as an artist to have your vision, you know, like well received is you know, every artist loves that. It's definitely gratifying. So it's been really cool to see people that know what they're talking about, like our stuff. Like that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it doesn't get better than that, really.
I feel that there might be as well this thing of bands from Adelaide, and this is said as a podcast from Adelaide, you know, chatting to you from Torrensville for those people who know where that is, that sometimes there's a little bit of extra work having to be put in, I feel, almost to be not taken as seriously as those peers from Sydney or Melbourne, but because we are that little bit further away, less people come there, there's less industry there, that there's a bit more work to be put in, or it's that kind of thing that you feel that you have to prove yourself that little bit more to make that same level as peers from other states?
Yeah, I think that's definitely true. And that's like something I guess we wear as a badge of honor, is that like we're from Adelaide and it is this smaller town that, you know, doesn't have the same industry as Sydney and all that kind of thing. Like that to us is actually special and sort of, I don't know. Yeah. And I think it's really fantastic that, you know, that we have opportunities to go interstate and record and write music, but also sort of like serve our own community here in Adelaide with shows, and we do special things for our fans here in Adelaide and
get to represent.
Yeah, that's kind of, you know, that's always something that we're going to keep special.
100%. I think that there's been a shift of, and this is, again, not to age myself, but speaking from experience, bands from maybe like the mid 2000s to, I want to say, like the mid 2010s, especially Adelaide bands, either moved to Sydney or Melbourne or really kind of tried in a way to make it more ambiguous of where they were from. And I think one thing that you guys have done incredibly well in the music, there's references. Obviously, you've got the song East End Girls, which I want to talk about in a little bit. But also like the visuals. There is like in the music videos, there's hints of Hindley Street, there's hints of Glenelg, there's hints of lots of other places that are only really going to make sense to South Australian folk or people who have been to Adelaide a lot listening to this podcast. But I think it's actually kind of cool in terms of what you're doing, in terms of owning that and embracing it, and then making it almost seem like, I think there was one video that you guys uploaded and it just could have been anywhere in the world. And then I think right at the end, there was something that was like, oh no, I know where that is. Like that's just down the road. And I imagine that it must be cool to have that sense of pride in repping where you're from and kind of the music scene that is here, because it is quite an incredible music scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, I think Adelaide sometimes gets a bad rap from other states, but Adelaide is cool. And I think, you know, we've grown up here our whole lives and we really love it. And it's like, it's nice to show that, you know, and then at the same, like you said, you can show a lot of places and it could be anywhere, but I guess Adelaide definitely has a uniqueness to it. And they're, you know, we're proud to show that.
That's where we started. You know?
Yeah.
Absolutely love that. Look, I promise this is the last kind of Adelaide-related question. Pash,
Please keep it coming.
Pash is obviously doing very, very well. We've got Alexia, who is traveling the world at the moment and just killing it as well. Tullamarines overseas. I think that there's this brand new class of Adelaide acts that are really coming through and showcasing and really, as you've said, kind of making a name for the Adelaide music scene. Do you think that there's anything, I guess maybe from your perspective of what you've experienced within the scene, is there anything that is attributed to why these bands are doing so well, or why it's connecting, I guess?
There must be something in the water that they have done. But I think it has like a very special community here. And I think like once people realize you're from Adelaide, they will immediately kind of, in a way, kind of support that. And they, you know, because it's like, oh, they're from my city. That's kind of cool. And it's, I think because it is kind of rare to have great things come out of, like from Adelaide, things to get exported, you know, beyond to outside Australia and like overseas. And now all there's like such quality artists and like Alexia and the Tullamarines and other acts here that we've really developed a community where like people are very helpful and very supportive and kind to one another. And it just makes that whole process a lot easier.
It definitely seems like, again, that there is something really special going on at the moment with Adelaide bands. I was wondering whether you might kind of indulge us. I know that the band has only really been going for, I want to say, I think it's 3 or so years now. Please correct me if I'm wrong with that. But wondering whether you might share where you guys started as a band. What was the catalyst that pulled you together, go, you know what, maybe we should make our own music?
Nic and Orlando, they went to school together. They went to high school together at Brighton in Adelaide. And they, you know, played music in a indie band. Yeah, it was an indie band called Saturn Sun. And at the same time, Nic and Jett were in a jazz band at the same high school. But Jett and I were 2 years younger than these two boys here. And then we got Nic to fill in to Jett and I's band for a little bit. And then we kind of just joined forces at the end of it because Nic and Orlando started making demos together and couldn't really bring it to their indie band. So
started getting a little bit weird.
yeah.
And we were like, right, something's brewing here.
Yeah.
And we we knew this blonde kid that sang, and we're like, right, let's bring him in and see whether he likes this stuff. And that's how we started. And then we booked our first show, and right from the start, we were just like, we want to take this thing to the moon. And we had all these crazy ideas about how cool our live show was going to be and all this and that. We were, in the best way possible, deluded with it. But the difference is we stuck with it and we made it happen. And so we just played gigs for that year. And then the very next year, about a year on from that, we booked our first East Coast tour, took Pash Australia-wide before we had a good reason to. We thought, screw it, just why not? And then around that time, we got some traction on social media, and then just sort of went from there. And we've been writing since, working on this EP, and we just, every time we go on the road, we hit it bigger and harder. And this next run for this EP is going to be our most ambitious run yet, I think. And as far as, I think that's present, and as far as the future, up.
I think that's going to be the case for you guys. As we said, there's a lot of people who are already in the Pash fan club, kind of cheering you on from the sidelines, and it is exciting to see where you're going to go with this EP. I believe that when this podcast is going to be released, there are some new tour dates announced. What can we expect from some of these shows? What is some of the madness that you've already got planned to be able to, showcase these songs in their best way?
I think it was like we kind of spent this whole year, I just like really intensely focused on like making the live show better, and like after each show being like, that was good, but the next one's going to be better. So it was like an intense rehearsals. And I think, this next run is like probably our tightest, like the biggest sounding, and also like special because it's like pretty much double in size the venues of what we're doing, just a few months earlier. So I think it's like kind of bigger in every way, in the sound and the size of the crowd. And I guess kind of that has always been our motto, is that we just, every show that you see us, the next one's going to be bigger and better.
It's the tough thing is that we're at the point where like every show we go, we do better, to the point where we can't really sort of look back too far in our concert footage before it becomes outdated, because every show that we do is we're always just aiming for that high next level.
I think we have more fun when we're more rehearsed and polished up, because we're less worried about things and we trust each other more.
Yeah. Well, we can just be more free on stage and stuff. Yeah.
I think there definitely is something to be said of when you're at a certain level of like rehearsals, and obviously you've played the songs hundreds to thousands of times at some point, that it's almost just like a muscle memory, that you're able to really let go and be able to do other things while knowing that you've got that stage presence and you know what chords, what kind of things are you doing on there as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Totally right. That's totally right.
Yeah, and it's definitely an acquired skill, I think, like performing on stage. It's very hard to just like get up there your first time and kill it. So it's like, it's something that we've been, I guess, working away, with just to, I don't know, create, like a special experience for people that come out and watch us, and they'll be able to listen to the whole EP in full, because we love all 6 of those songs. So
it's going to be some incredible run of shows. Again, we'll make sure that as these shows will be announced, by the time people are listening, we'll have them included in today's show notes. I'm wondering whether you might indulge me. We are primarily like a songwriting podcast. I was hoping to talk about one of my favorite songs on the EP. I think it was like the biggest sounding song in a way, that the guitars just sound like huge, and Jett, your vocals as well, just kind of bellowing in the best way. Talk to me about Solid Ground. What kind of was the catalyst behind that song? What inspired it, and how did it end up as the song that we hear on the EP now?
Solid Ground's a special one for us. It's been sort of
kicking around.
It's been kicking around for a long time. It's been dragged through the mud,
polished again,
and then polished again,
and again,
and then renovated and whatever. Anyway, we played that song. We've had that in our live set for a while now, so it's had a lot of time to sort of really be, I guess,
tested,
developed.
Yeah,
and sound a lot like us, I guess, because we're just, we've been holding it for so long. And then it was a lot of fun to put it into the studio finally. It was one that Orlando and I wrote at home together. We just had just a little demo of just the verse, actually, a lot more stripped back. And then we took it into a studio a couple of years ago now.
Yeah.
Sydney and wrote the rest of the song out with Nick Zaharis. And then about a year later, as we were recording the EP and our sound had sort of developed a little bit more, we took it into the Grove Studios to, get those massive drums that you can, the drum sound and guitar tones and everything you can get in the studio up at the Grove. So
it's had a long journey. It's had a life that's sort of been well lived before it's even seen or heard the light of day, I guess. But yeah, it's really cool to hear it, especially knowing how long we've been attached to that song for. But to hear it now and to hear people really take to it is also really amazing, because it's been that song for us, it's a bit of a given for over a long time now, and so to hear people enjoy it, it's just been really amazing.
Yeah. I must imagine that there's also like a sense of accomplishment and pride in it as well, because there are some songs we speak to artists about and some, and with all respect to them and love them, they'll go, oh, it just came very easily and that was it and it was done. And then there are some artists that you speak to and it's a similar kind of journey where they've toiled over it. They've put their heart into it multiple times. I think just when I asked, then you were like, again, and another member said, and again. And obviously it's been something that has been, you've seen the worth in persevering with it, and it obviously has paid off in such a beautiful track. So congratulations on that track, because it's a beautiful song, guys. You've done really, really well. And on the EP as well, I'm excited to see what's going to happen with this EP. I know that, as you said, each time round it's bigger, it's better. Putting it out there, maybe just as a manifesting thing, is there anything that you're hoping now with the release of Pash, the EP, that this is going to bring you? What's the goal for that next level, for maybe the third EP or an album or whatever it is down the track? Where do we want this EP to take you in the next number of months?
Wembley.
We've always had this view of us being a massive band and a global band, and that's always kind of our North Star and what we're being focused on. But honestly, it's fan by fan is really how we're have always seen this. And if just one person likes that song and really loves it and streams it a lot, that's an amazing, and hopefully that just keeps happening. And I think these songs have you can go back in artist discographies way back and listen to their old stuff, and it's so special. So I think it's because this EP is such a beautiful moment in time, I don't think we have a super clear idea of this is exactly the benchmark that we want this EP to take us to. It's it just captured what we did in the last year,
and the right next step.
Yeah, and that's the right thing to put that journey that we went through out. And then obviously over the next 6 months of writing and stuff, we'll have another EP that will serve a different purpose and be sonically similar but different, because we've gone through different things and have listened to different things. And I guess that's kind of always how we played it, I think.
I think that's very fair. And again, I'm excited to see where this EP does take you. I would not be shocked if the next time we possibly speak, you are on that global band. Maybe we won't even speak. You might not even take my call at that stage. Who knows?
Listen, I mean,
I am very genuinely excited for you guys, though, because this is a brilliant EP. It is lovely to see an Australian band wear their music influences on their sleeve and excel and execute the songs as well as what the intention is, if that makes sense. You can see what you're wanting to do, but the fact that you're actually doing it at that high quality is just very impressive. So once again, congratulations on the EP. I do want to wrap things up. Usually we will ask our guests what they're currently listening to, what is on high rotation, so that we're not making it any difficulty in terms of the Zoom call of it. I thought I'd go alphabetically. So Daniel, I will ask you first.
Ooh, one highlight recently would have to be The Man by The Killers. That one.
Great song. Jett, what about yourself?
Well, I think like a lot of other people, I've been listening to a lot of Michael Jackson since I've seen the movie. And I think apart from that, I've just gotten myself into The Replacements. They're an American sort of early punk, I guess you'd almost call it, rock band from the 80s. And yeah, I've really enjoyed getting into them.
The two very different artists, but some great music from both of them. Nic, what about yourself?
I've recently gotten into an older Ethel Cain album, the Willoughby Tucker album. I don't know why I didn't listen to it when it, many years ago when it came out, but I've just discovered it and I've been obsessed over the last month.
Fantastic album. Great choice. Yeah. And lucky last, but by no means least, Orlando, for yourself.
I was just looking for my phone because I really want to give the right answer. I've been listening to albums lately. I hate to say it, I'm not normally an album guy, but lately I have. But I'll just go with what's off the top of my head, which is Graceland by Paul Simon. I recently able to do a deep dive into him just as a whole. Like I've really been liking that. But Graceland is just really, really cool because I love that sort of African guitar sort of vibe and the world beat sort of thing that's going on there. So that'd be my pick. That's all.
Very eclectic tastes across the band, but I kind of love that. You can see. Yeah, there's kind of lots of different things going on, but I firstly love that and also excited to see how that maybe does play into the studio for that third EP. But until that point, we are celebrating Pash, the second EP from the band Pash. Gentlemen, Jett, Orlando, Nic and Daniel, thank you very much for joining us on the podcast. We'll make sure all links are in today's show notes for people to stream the EP, buy tickets to these shows. But yeah, I very much appreciate you coming on.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so